In today's video, what we're going to do is talk more about Death Stranding, but more specifically, I just want to take some time in this video to really focus in on the gameplay of Death Stranding and really just talk about how polarizing it seems to be and go more in depth with my feelings on it and what I'm anticipating, and if my feelings on what to expect from the gameplay of Death Stranding has changed at all ever since we had the reviews come out and we got to hear what a lot of other people had to say about actually playing the game. I don't think there's any doubt that when you look across the board at what people are saying about Death Stranding who have played it and completed it so far, the gameplay of it is easily the most polarizing aspect. And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of people really taking shots at Death Stranding and really kind of maybe even making fun of it or making it seem worse than it actually is, which it happens pretty much with every game. It is to be expected, but I feel like with Death Stranding more so than other games, it's disappointing to see this because I can tell you this, and I can say this completely openly and honestly, when I go to play Death Stranding, if I don't enjoy it, if I find it boring or tedious or just really underwhelming, or the gameplay is just such a drag that I just, I'm not enjoying it, I will be honest and I will tell you guys, but at the very least, I can feel confident in saying that I'm glad that Kojima is doing something different. And this is a sentiment that I've seen a lot of other people, as well as even developers, some Sony developers like Cory Barlog and Neil Druckmann, expressing that they are really grateful that Kojima, as a creator who could have done anything, right? Who was given millions of dollars to make this game, he could have done anything. He could have done the easiest thing. He could have done the surefire thing, but instead he made the game that he wanted to make. He didn't really care about how unconventional it is. He didn't really care about any of that stuff. The only thing he really cared about was seeing his vision through. And I think at the very least, regardless of what, and you can even find this in the reviews that didn't give it such a high score, you can see that people at least respect the guy for doing something that is unconventional and attempting something new, even if it doesn't resonate with everybody. And for me, that is, I think, the strongest aspect of Death Stranding's gameplay that I really am enamored with, is the fact that it is really bizarre. It does look strange. Even I can admit sometimes when watching the gameplay, I'm trying to imagine how could this feel fun, and maybe it's not meant to feel fun, and we've talked about this a little bit, but one thing I want to mention here briefly is I know that I said I was going to maybe go on a little rant about that 3.5 out of 10 review that an individual ended up giving Death Stranding, but I'm not going to waste my time with that. I'm not focusing on that negativity and that excess noise, because the truth is, anybody looking at that, and you guys made this clear in the comments of my video yesterday, anybody looking at that knows that it's not a 3.5 out of 10 game. I don't think anybody could look at a game like Death Stranding and say that. It was clearly just not a review that should be taken seriously, and so I'm not even going to give it the time of day. Also, many of you were telling me to look or watch Yang Ye's review of Death Stranding, which I like Yang Ye. I think he does a lot of really good content. It's just a lot of it isn't really for me. I actually was very, very, very impressed with his review because I watched the entire thing and it was a long review, and what I was most impressed with is how deep he went into the actual gameplay mechanics and how well he actually tried to convey and explain that here's all the little nuances and all the little different things that you can do in Death Stranding that really come together to create something that is not as simple on the surface as it may seem. The concept of what you're doing remains simple, but the actual practice of it as you're playing it it's not as simple as you might think. And it seems to me that with Death Stranding's gameplay, it's truly going to be a make or break thing for a lot of people. And I do kind of believe at this point that if you're somebody who looks at the gameplay, or if you've been looking at the gameplay, and I feel as though the reviews kind of validate this idea, if you're the kind of person that's been on the fence with the gameplay and you were kind of wondering, like, is there more to it than what we're seeing, or are you really just kind of playing as a delivery man? Is there going to be more combat sections? Is there going to be different types of experiences in the gameplay that we haven't been shown? I don't think the game is going to be for you. I think the gameplay does break it for you, and that's perfectly okay. I will admit that maybe I overhyped this game a little bit, but you guys have to understand there are a lot of reasons why I've been hyped for Death Stranding. And I've went over this ad nauseum at this point, but I feel as though it's worth reiterating at least one more time here, because I've been catching a lot of flack recently for my hype for Death Stranding, which is kind of understandable. I mean, when you have a person out here saying it's going to get a 93 on Metacritic, potential Game of the Year winner, and stuff like that, and then it doesn't work out, it kind of like, it comes right back at me. So that's totally understandable. I'll take the L on that one. But there's a lot of reasons why I've been very much, I guess you could say, overly hyped about Death Stranding. And the reasoning for that is, and this is where I think about Yang Ye's review that I listened to. And one thing he said in the beginning of his review that really resonated with me is he said that Death Stranding is a Hideo Kojima game through and through, from start to finish. In every aspect of the game, it's a Hideo Kojima game. And that is interesting to me because I know that a lot of people believe that Hideo Kojima's work is overrated, or he gets too much credit for the Metal Gear Solid franchise and whatnot. And I can understand everybody has their own opinions on that, but for me personally, that is what makes me still have a lot of faith in this game, that even though the gameplay does seem very unconventional, and even when I'm looking at some of it, I'm wondering like, I don't know if this is going to resonate with me the way I'm hoping it will, I am willing to give it that chance. And more importantly, and I feel like this is the most important thing that I want to express in this video, because I know a lot of you are going to be wondering what my review of this game is going to be like when I finally get to play it, and what I'm going to have to say about it. I know that there's a lot of people who just automatically anticipate, well, you're a huge PlayStation fan, you've shifted to PlayStation on your channel here, and you have a new audience because of that, and so you're going to basically pander to that audience and whatnot, and you're only going to say good things. Guys, that's not the case. If I don't enjoy Death Stranding, I will tell you the truth. Like, people, what is the point of doing a game review if you can't be honest about what you're reviewing? When I did my reviews of past games, like more recently Days Gone, I think I was pretty fair with that. I let you guys know what I didn't enjoy in that game, but I also let you know what I did enjoy in it. And so with Death Stranding, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing, and I won't lie to you, I'm a little bit concerned that the gameplay for me may end up being make or break. I'm not sitting here making it sound like, I know 100% for sure that Death Stranding's gameplay is going to be for me, but what I will say 100% for sure is that I will see the game through. If there's something that I think has been made abundantly clear by anybody who has enjoyed this game, for those who have enjoyed it and really think it's like a really up there game, a top tier game, they say that the game does take some time to really pick up, and that they hope that anybody who is willing to give this game a chance sticks with it, because it does get a lot better the further you get into it. And one thing I did go on record saying it before the reviews came out, is that to me Death Stranding always kind of looked like that kind of game, and I feel like the Metal Gear Solid games have been like this as well, mainly due to the story, and how boss battles and stuff like that. I did say that Death Stranding to me looks like the type of game that you're really going to have to stick with, and what is going to matter most with a type of game like Death Stranding is it's not the journey that matters, but it may actually end up being the destination. And that sounds like the opposite of what, how the saying actually goes, like it's not the destination that matters, it's the journey. I feel like it will obviously be both in the case of Death Stranding, but I feel like it's going to be so important to pay attention to how the game leaves you feeling by the time you complete it. And a lot of the people who enjoyed the game, this is what they're saying. They're saying that it's a game that it's going to take a little while to get into. I believe Hideo Kojima even said this himself, where it's going to be a game, it's going to take some time to really get a feel for what it's about, what the gameplay loop is about, and to really kind of get dug into it. But overall, I do have to say, and end this video by saying that when it comes to Death Stranding's gameplay, it is easily the most polarizing aspect of this game, and it's going to be make or break for a lot of people. And as you can clearly see by the reviews, and even the response from people who are reading the reviews, it is very much a game that you're either going to really be in it, or you're not going to want to touch it with a 10-foot stick, pretty much, pole or whatever. So with that knowledge, I will say that I still am excited for the game. I'm still hyped for it. I am very much on board with the story that hopefully is going to unfold. I will admit I am a little bit concerned with the gameplay, and I'm going to be really really taking my time with the game. I'm gonna really get dug into the game a little bit before I give my first impressions on it, because I have a feeling that when I first play that, the first couple of hours, I'm probably going to be confused. I'm probably going to get frustrated. There's probably a very steep learning curve, but that's not going to deter me from taking the time to actually learn it. And this is where I feel like what's really interesting to me, based off of most of the reviews that I've read, is that I noticed the most positive reviews from people, the people who feel good about this game. These are the reviews where they actually went like more in depth with the gameplay itself. It's almost as if there's some layers to this gameplay that are really going to resonate with certain people. Like, you have to be a certain type of person for the different layers of this game to really resonate with you. To whereas I noticed a lot of the people who gave it like lower scores, or maybe were not very thrilled with the gameplay, they didn't go as deep into it, maybe because these deeper layers to them didn't really make them feel good when playing. It seems like it just ended up making them feel like this is overly tedious, this is kind of boring, this is kind of dull or mundane. And to be fair, I can see why people may feel that way based off of the gameplay I've seen so far. And so it's just going to be a make or break thing for each individual. And I know that this may seem obvious to a lot of people, but I really feel as though that this video was worth making after the reviews came out, because I talked a lot about the gameplay as well in yesterday's video, but it was a longer video and we were really focusing on all the different review scores. But I had to take time to really go over like the most polarizing aspect of this game and really go in depth. And I wanted to let you guys know that I did watch Yang Ye's review, and I was extremely impressed with it. In fact, I wish that guy would do more game reviews because he's so good at it. And I was just really impressed with how in-depth he went with the gameplay, which was really important to me, because I think if you watch his review, and I'll encourage anybody who's listening to this who hasn't seen it to go check it out. Anybody who's on the fence with this game in terms of the gameplay, go check out his review, because I think he makes it pretty clear that this is either going to be a game that's for you or it's not, based off of his description of what you experience moment to moment through each segment and each chapter of this game, and as the gameplay begins to ramp up. And what I will say is that some of the reviews that I've read of people talking about how bored they get with the gameplay, how tedious it can be, I think some people were making fun of PlayStation lifestyle, because they said that the game can be not fun and frustrating at times, but they gave it a 9.5 out of 10. But this is where the truth is, guys. I mean, is PlayStation lifestyle being biased towards a PlayStation game like Death Stranding? Of course they probably are to an extent, but I do genuinely feel that to some people, I know that this sounds like such an oxymoron, but like the idea of a boring, tedious game being fun and enthralling, even though that seems so like such a contradiction, it is a thing. Like, different people enjoy different things, and I think that this game will certainly have its audience. And I think that there's going to be a lot of people, clearly, even based off of the reviewers, who really see what this game is trying to go for and actually appreciate the different type of gameplay that it's going to offer. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. Let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. Be sure to leave the video a like if you did enjoy it or agree with what I had to say here. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.